All right, welcome back. Today, we're diving into a story from a gorgeous Spanish coastal town where the ancient architecture is holding on to a really tragic secret. It's all about how a decaying old wedding arch in a cemetery became the heart of a terrifying local legend. One that, as you'll see, might have claimed a life. Okay, so picture this: Salabrania, Spain. During the day, it is the definition of a picture postcard town. You've got these beautiful, white-walled homes just clinging to the side of a hill, these narrow little streets winding up and up, and you can hear church bells in the air. I mean, it's seriously like something out of a painting. But, looks can be deceiving. Because as soon as that sun dips below the horizon, a weird chill settles over Celebrinia. Those busy streets, they become totally empty. It's almost like everyone is hiding from something that only comes out after dark. So, our way into this whole thing isn't some paranormal investigator or a ghost hunter. Nope. The story starts with a young student who was just drawn to the town because of its incredible architectural history. Meet Mateo Guerrero. He's just 19 years old, an architecture student from Madrid, and he's in Celebrania for a school project. He's there to study and document the town's ancient church and all its centuries-old houses. And it's his academic curiosity, his interest in these buildings, that's going to lead him to uncover something way more personal and way more terrifying. And it doesn't take long for Mateo to notice that something's off. This isn't just a sleepy town. No, the emptiness he sees every night feels intentional. It feels like fear. He literally watches as locals rush home the second evening hits, locking their doors and just leaving the streets in this unsettling silence. So this weird feeling, the sense that something's not quite right, leads him to a discovery in the one place where a town's history is, well, literally buried, the local cemetery. So he's in the old cemetery right next to the church, doing his student thing, sketching and taking notes, when his architect's eye catches something totally out of place. It's this old, broken-down wedding arch, a symbol of celebration, right? Standing right over a grave. It's still got these old, withered flowers clinging to it, and the dirt underneath is just darker than all the ground around it. And you won't believe it, but that very same night, right after finding the arch, he sees something. He just happens to look out his window, and there she is, a silhouette of a woman in a long white dress, just standing at the end of the street. But the second he focuses, poof, she's gone. Okay, so after seeing that, you'd want answers too, right? Mateo turns to a local, and that's when the town's hidden, tragic history starts to come out. So Mateo, probably thinking it's just some weird local custom, mentions the wedding arch in the cemetery to the old caretaker at his guest house. And the man's reaction? He goes white as a sheet. He's hesitant, but he finally agrees to tell Mateo this story that has apparently been haunting Celebrania for over 100 years. And this is where the legend comes from. And what's wild is that it's not just some spooky story, it's rooted in a real documented tragedy. Picture it, 1889. A young woman, Isabella Romero, is all set to marry a guy named Javier Morales. Now, the church was under renovation at the time, a key detail, so the wedding was set up near the cemetery. But on the wedding night, Javier was a no-show. He'd actually skipped town with another woman. Isabella waited all night long under that arch in the freezing cold until she collapsed and died, they say, from a broken heart. And just like that, from this incredible heartbreak, the local folklore of the novia cadaver, the dead bride, is born. She became more than a ghost. She became a warning, a permanent sad part of the town's identity. The spirit of a heartbroken woman just waiting forever for the groom who never came back. Okay, but here's where it gets really chilling. This isn't just some old story from the 1800s. For Mateo, this piece of history, this legend, is about to become terrifyingly real. It's not staying in the past. Things start to escalate, and fast. It's not just a distant figure anymore. We're talking footsteps stopping right outside his door. The air in his room suddenly fills with this overpowering smell of damp earth and old dying flowers. He sees a shadow slide into the crack under his door. And then, slowly, silently, he watches the doorknob start to turn. So, completely freaked out, Mateo does what you'd probably do. He runs to the local priest for help. But instead of comfort, the priest gives him this chilling bit of information. He says that, yeah, people have seen the dead bride before, but always from a distance. Her spirit has never been this active, this focused on a single person. And then the priest asks him this one Simple question, but it changes everything. He just looks at Matteo and asks, "Did you take anything from that place?" And that's when it hits Matteo. He remembers. Fascinated by the decaying arch from an architectural standpoint, he picked up a small, what he thought was a harmless, souvenir. A few of those dried flowers still clinging to the wooden frame. Just an innocent act of academic curiosity. And the priest just looks at him and spells out the horrifying implication of that simple act. By taking the flowers from her bridal arch, Matteo basically sent a signal. The priest believes the spirit of Isabella no longer thinks she's waiting. She thinks he is Javier. She thinks her groom has finally come back for her. The priest tells him, "You have to get out of town right now." But it's already too late. This terrible, supernatural misunderstanding is about to lead to the legend's horrifying conclusion. And from here on, it's just absolute chaos. He sprints back to his room, trying to pack, but he finds fresh, wet, muddy footprints leading right to his door. As he's frantically throwing his stuff in a bag, a storm breaks out. The sky goes dark, the lights flicker, and in a flash of lightning, he sees her. She's not outside anymore. The dead bride is in the room with him. But he doesn't make it out. Hours later, the guest house caretaker finds Matteo's body. He's right back where it all started, lying in the cemetery, directly under that broken wedding arch, his body covered in that same dark, wet mud. And for the people of Salobreña, this just cements the legend. It's not just a scary story anymore. Matteo, the student who came to study their buildings, has now become a permanent, horrifying part of their town's tragic history. In their minds, the dead bride has finally claimed her groom. It really makes you think, doesn't it? When we go and admire these beautiful old towns, we're really only seeing the surface. How many forgotten promises, how many human tragedies, and maybe what restless spirits are still lingering there, hidden within the very architecture we've come all that way to see.